HelloInvesting.com. I thought I would do this update via video. I just haven't had enough time today to put together a proper article for you guys, and I wanted to answer some of the questions that have been sent through and perhaps do a quick update on the markets that I was looking at on Monday. So please, if you have any further questions, do send them through. Don't be shy, please ask. I do like to engage with you guys. I enjoy it very, very much. I know that perhaps this is not as timeless as you would like, but obviously there are other means and other channels that we can communicate on. But let's have a look at where we are at. So the first market that I mentioned on Monday was this dollar yen. Now what I've got drawn in here is kind of the lines that I had. I think I had a kind of a wedge going there, and certainly that would still be in play. Now price is just sort of sitting in this box, and I've got this daily chart drawn here, and unless it really starts breaking down lower, this continues to look really bullish to me. As I sort of mentioned on Monday, I would look at either a retest on the top of this trend line, or now perhaps a breakout above this box and some sort of bounce higher for an opportunity to go long. So still looks pretty bullish to me. Nothing has really changed. The second market that I had a look at on Monday was this dollar Swissy, and I was saying, well, I think if we get some kind of close down here, I think we might see price moving lower. So you can tell by sort of when these candles are forming that I'm filming this towards the middle of the US session on Tuesday, just before I wrap up my own trading, just so that I can give you some sort of update. So obviously this daily candle is not closed, but still looking pretty bearish. I guess we could start looking at targets perhaps sort of down here, on these highs. I think price might find some sort of rest. If you're not in this trade, I wouldn't really worry. I think you've got plenty of opportunity, potentially even on the 4 hour. I mean, look at the structure, right? We've got this push down, we've got these kind of channels forming, sort of on the 4 hour. And this is a really good structure for a sort of a continuation at this point. There's no reason why it should turn around yet. And we can certainly continue to sell. So if you're not in this trade, and I'm not, I must admit I missed it, I'm going to sort of look for some sort of retrace on the 4 hour, something perhaps in a kind of a channel, or perhaps a re-challenge of this high here. I've got it marked, I guess you could call it 98. Really, it's this whole kind of zone here, for continued opportunity to sell. So it still looks pretty bearish to me. I don't see any reason to reverse course. As price is moving down, why not trade along with it? The third market that I mentioned on Monday was this Euro Aussie. So I think I had some sort of shape here, and I was saying, well, price broke down. I tried to sell this, I think it was last week or the week before, and I had a bit of a short going, and then price reversed, and I got out quite early, and look how it just pushed above these recent highs, right? And it's sitting up here. You can see how it's really just broken above all these highs here. It came down, retested, and look at it up here. So I think there was a comment to do with perhaps a wave down or something like that, and sure, right, price can do whatever it wants, but right now, as far as I'm concerned, this is still looking pretty bullish. If we were to get a close above these highs here on the daily chart, I would approach this in a similar way, sort of as to how I look at the Swiss year. I would look at perhaps some sort of retrace, perhaps some sort of channel forming, something along those lines. I want to see some sort of pause before a continued push upwards, sort of like this, all right, this kind of structure that we've seen. And again, no reason to suggest that this move is not continuing. So those were kind of my markets. Nothing's really changed, although I must admit it hasn't been the most exciting week to trade. Let's have a look at a couple of the markets that you brought to my attention. So I think someone mentioned the Euro 4 hour, some sort of head and shoulders. Look, I guess maybe you were looking at something like this. Maybe that's a shoulder. I'm not sure. Perhaps this is the head, and I guess maybe there's even a smaller shoulder, head, shoulder. We're obviously looking at the inverted pattern here, but on the bigger pattern, shoulder, head, shoulder. Perhaps you're looking at something like that. I tend to simplify things, I must admit. You can see sort of this move that we've seen up here. I mean, look at the bullish candles, right? In fact, let's really do have a good look at this. This is a good lesson here. So have a look at sort of these moves here. All right, you've got one bullish candle that pushes up. You've got three sort of 4-hour candles that move the length of one bullish candle, and then very quickly that move is totally absorbed by the bulls. All right, so you can see who's in charge here. Okay, and just compare the sort of the retraces, right? The retraces don't really go anywhere. Okay, the retraces just don't go anywhere. So whether you see a kind of a bigger pattern, head and shoulders here, or something along those lines, or perhaps, you know, something else, for me it's really just a pretty strong uptrend at this stage. All right, perhaps more of a retrace there, but still looking really strong. Just compare the 4-hour candles, the bullish candles, with the retrace candles. All right, the retrace candles don't go anywhere. They don't gain any ground. The bullish candles close right near the high. They gain a lot of ground. You don't see a lot of wick. You know, as far as I'm concerned, the bulls are still firmly in control here. Where might this go? So I drew these two sort of levels in here. Now for me, really, they're the same level. I know they're 40 pips apart, but you know, I wouldn't personally trade them as a different level. I mean, you know, if you kind of look at this daily candle here, you'd say it sort of wicked into it, and it almost touched that one, and it wicked into this one. So as far as I'm concerned, they're very much the same level. So I would expect price to reach up here. I guess that's another, what is it, sort of 40-50 pips before the first level. Perhaps not tradable, but when it gets up there, then we'll have a better clue as to what what's next. We may see a reversal there, but for me it's too early. For now, I would certainly just continue to look for more upside. I think the next market that someone wanted to look at was the euro pound. Now this is off on a tear, and it's been quite an interesting market to watch. I've been monitoring it very sort of passively, and it's been stuck in this box for almost a year. In fact, I think it might be more than a year, and you can see we've finally sort of broken out of it. Now, I mean, I think this break has caught a lot of traders unaware. I certainly wouldn't be looking at shorting, but what I might look at doing is perhaps buying on some sort of retrace, or perhaps even the eventual retouch of this box. Okay, wow, those colors are terrible. Let me move that above there, but I think you get what I mean. So the idea is that I'd like to see price retouch on this box, bounce off it, and then potentially go for a long. Just for the simple reason that, you know, if I wanted to buy up here, buy into strength, where would I put my stop? And I guess the problem is you know, even though this isn't a very volatile pair, I'd sort of have to buy up here somewhere, and the closest swing low is down there, which is 200 odd pips away, which is obviously it's not a huge amount, especially given how many days are here, but I think we've got a potentially an easier trade. You know, I think we might have price come down and then sort of bounce and give us an opportunity to put our stops a little bit closer and simply trade with the move, right? I mean, clearly the bulls are in charge here. You know, why are we preempting that move is going to stop? You know, but perhaps a move up to sort of this level. I've got it drawn at 92.50, I guess. Only around about there would I really look for a short. Yeah, you know, even on the weekly chart, perhaps, you know, we can see that we ran into a bit of traffic here, but we've already broken above that level. So I would really look for some sort of retrace and bounce, and just go with price, right? Don't have too much more to say about that. CAD yen, someone wanted to have a look at the CAD yen, so I stuck a kind of a weekly chart on here, and I wanted to have a look at where we were at. So if you switch to a line chart, you can kind of see these votes for this level. This is, I guess you'd call it 86. We've got a nice bounce there, we've got a nice rejection here, you've got price pushing up. I would guess that it's going to break higher, but I'm not in the business of making predictions. They're pretty useless. So what I think we do now, I don't have a trade at this level, so I'd need to see one of two things. I'd need to see sort of price break above this level, trade above it for a bit, come back down and bounce. So similar to that, but we didn't really get the bounce, right? I'd like to see sort of 3, 4, 5, 6 candles up here, bounce, and then an opportunity to go long. That would be an opportunity to potentially trade it, or some sort of rejection candle. So let me zoom in here. So perhaps what's a good candle? Perhaps even something like this, for this candle to print on this zone, to reject this upper level, and then some sort of opportunity to short. Where it is now, I don't have any great ideas. I don't really get too excited about it. Again, if you wanted to go long, where would you put your stop, right? It's all the way under here. If you wanted to go short, you're banking on it turning around here, and it's pushing up there quite soon after this touch. Why bet on it turning around? Why not wait for it to start turning around and then short? So yeah, that's really all I have. If you have any more pairs you'd like me to have a look at, we'll try and do this a little bit quicker next time. But thanks very much for watching.